Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Welcome to another Greatest Hits episode of the Stacking Benjamin Show. Hey everyone, I'm Griffin the Intern. But you know what? After spending this week together, I think we're on a first-name basis, so you can just call me the Finter. To round out this special 5-day edition of the show, I'd like to play a roundtable episode that features OG, Paula Pant from Afford Anything, and our friend from the FYI Fly podcast, Hassan Thomas. They're talking stealth wealth. Should you just shut up about your money, how much you make, how much you have? They'll all have great opinions on that question and more. That's all for me. The basement is finally clean and ready for another 8 weeks. And man, are these weeks going to be great. Joe's sheet here says we're going to bring you Ed Slott on taxes, Darius Farrow on what he can learn from the Stoic philosophers, NYU professor Tessa West on relationships and your job, and the amazing behavioral economist Daniel Crosby. It's going to be a great summer here in Mom's basement. You know, now that I've sprayed Febreze. Enjoy, Finturn out.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and have you ever won the Nobel Prize? No? Well, I was close to getting nominated back in '92 when I rewound my Ghostbusters tape before returning it to Family Video. Don't worry, Gen Z. We'll teach you what that means later. Speaking of peace prizes, the first Nobel Prize was given out on this day in 1901. And today, we welcome a guy who deserves to be nominated based on his commitment to financial literacy. We welcome the host of the FYI Fly podcast, Hassan Thomas. Today, Hassan helps us dissect the upsides of stealth wealth. Should you hide how much money you have? Here to help Hassan, we welcome the woman probably up for the Nobel Prize for house hacking. It's from Afford Anything, Paula Pant. And from this podcast, say hello to OG. But that's not all. Of course, we'll have another session of this year's exciting trivia challenge. Can Paula pull off an upset as exciting as U of M over Ohio? Stay tuned to find out. And now, a guy who's known for his Ig Nobel appreciation of pumpkin spice lattes. I'm totally with you on this one, OG. It's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Pumpkin spice is so good. It's absolutely good. I dare you to fight me on that because it is wonderful. Sadly, we're on to the next segment, which is peppermint, and I'm not as big a fan of peppermint. Hey, everybody, welcome to Friday on the podcast. That means we are live on the Fireside app, and that also means we're going to have some fun with our contributors. First contributor, though, is a guy who's been contributing to the podcasting game with me for nearly a decade. Mr. OG is here.
Do I get a little pin when we hit 10 years? I feel like it's coming up. Is there any official stat on when this thing started?
Don't we deserve like a pin or a watch or something? It is February, by the way, February of next year. I don't know the exact date, but it will be February. It will be our 10-year anniversary.
Just made that up, but I like it.
Yeah, cool. It's February 11th. We should actually call it my birthday, which is in February. That'd be good. Also here, and a woman who maybe should win the Nobel Prize because she gets to has to hang out with us. Well, she doesn't have to, so maybe. But Miss Paula Pant's here.
Wait, did you just say, did I understand correctly, February of 2022 is the 10-year anniversary of the show?
Can you believe that?
Wow. So what's amazing that I did not realize until just now is that both of our business anniversaries are in February. And February 2022, specifically the date 2/22/22, is the 11-year anniversary of Afford Anything. The brand, not the podcast, but the brand.
That sounds about right. I mean, I can't believe we've known each other that long, and we're so young, Paula.
I thought Paula was going to say that the show is older than she is.
It might be.
Some days it feel like it, but not today. You know why, Paula?
Why is that?
Because we got the gentleman behind FY Fly, the podcast. Hassan Thomas is here. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Dude, I'm so happy that you're here with us. We met finally at FinCon, and you've got a heck of a brand, an awesome podcast. You just had Mr. Anthony O'Neill on the show, who's helping a lot of people in your community, but you mostly serve high schoolers, college kids, people that are really just trying to get their footing.
Yes, sir. I believe financial literacy is truly the key to living the lifestyle that we want and deserve while avoiding making poor financial decisions. So that's why I decided to, stick with my age range, my demographic of high school, college, and recent grad students, and really try to promote financial literacy resources. So like I said, they can, live the lifestyle of their dreams without having to make those poor financial decisions.
Hassan, you are far younger than I was when I finally got my butt interested in financial literacy. When did you first get excited, or were you excited the moment you were born?
So it was pretty much my business mindset. My aunt, literally, she came over for Thanksgiving yesterday, and she told me a story. I was in the back of her car, and she was driving. And she was like, Hassan, who are you talking to back there? She heard me talking. And I was like, I got to get a plan to make some more money. And I told her this while I was 6 years old. And she was driving, and I was just in the back seat. So I've always been, business-minded, business-oriented. And I went to college in Maryville College. It's right outside of Knoxville in East Tennessee. And while I was in school, I just noticed the lack of financial education coming from my peers. I mean, I graduated with a business degree, a minor in accounting and marketing. So all of the classes that I took were, of course, business related, financial related. But what about the art majors? What about the communication majors and those different type of majors that are not required to take financial literacy? If they weren't taught financial literacy at home, then they're graduating from college and going into the adult world not knowing how to manage their finances, grow their finances, and save money. And we can't have that.
It's always amazing. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. And I absolutely love what you do. We'll talk more about it here in a little bit. But we've got Hassan here. We've got OG here. We've got Paula. We got Doug. Today, we are going to talk about stealth wealth. Should you talk about your money? I think we might know Hassan's opinion on that based on what he just said. But first,
I had a breakfast mentoring meeting yesterday with a young woman who was just amazing. She is graduating from college with a degree in wealth management, and she reached out hoping for some pointers. And listen, if somebody's in Texarkana and wants to go into this beautiful field of personal finance and helping people get their money together, that is incredible. But even more incredible is how she reached out, how she was trying to network. And I was having a discussion that finding the right person and avoiding the wrong person for a role, that's what can make or break an organization. And we just don't see that many qualified people. So how do you find them? Well, Indeed sponsored jobs is a boost whenever you need to find quality talent. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. You can stop struggling to get your job post even seen on other sites. You'll match with quality candidates with Indeed's sponsored jobs. Get matched with and hire quality candidates who can drive the results you need. Reach candidates who meet your specific criteria like skills, certifications, or location. It drives me crazy when I'm matched with all kinds of people who aren't a fit. I don't have that kind of time. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 95% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored job. And here's what's cool, stackers. You're going to get $75
in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Stacking Benjamins by saying you heard about Indeed right here at Stacking Benjamins. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business.
All right, now we're ready to go. Let's get this party started. Today's piece comes to us from a website called financialchainbreakers.com. I really like this piece. It's called Beyond Stealth Wealth, Going on Offense. And what's interesting, part of the reason I like it is because I'm not sure how much of it I agree with. We're going to see, though, how much our panel agrees with, because if you're not familiar with stealth wealth, well, off the top, Paula, you want to kick this off by telling us what the people at Financial Chainbreakers call stealth wealth, what their definition here is?
Yeah, well, so stealth wealth is not letting people know that you're wealthy or that you have a high income. So the people who wrote this article, they own a house in Southern California. They have a BMW. Those things are all very conspicuous forms of consumption. And stealth wealth is really the opposite of that. It's keeping it on the down low.
Oh, gee, they bring up one reason for stealth wealth that I'm sure you must talk to your clients about, which is self-protection, right? I mean, I remember when I would work with physicians, or I would work with people that had different titles in their name, to take the titles back in the days when people used to write checks, like take the titles off your checks, take it off your correspondence, because to protect your wealth means to make sure that you aren't as open to lawsuits. Is that still a thing today?
Show of hands, who's written a check in the last 15 years?
I'm actually wondering, based on it. Hassan, have you ever written a check?
Yes, so I have, but I had to get taught how to write a check. I didn't know how. So.
Yeah. By your grandparents?
Probably. Oh, yeah. I mean, I understand. I understand the point here. It says self-protection, which is like you said, to kind of stay out of the public eye, so to speak. But the author here, she talks about the IRS and family court are like the main conspirators here. And it's like, okay, well, you can't lie to the IRS or hide stuff from the IRS. And you can't hide from family court.
Sure.
Like, I suppose maybe if the lawyer saw you pulling up in a shiny new Range Rover or BMW or whatever, they might, pay a little closer to attention, but you don't get to cherry pick what data you send to family court when you're like, right. You're like, oh, here's all my liabilities. I'm not going to show you all the assets, like it's just not a thing. But I do get the idea. I do understand the whole self-protection thing. And I'll give a different example of this. We live in a community that is fairly well known in North Dallas. And when you call a contractor, we always have the experience of like, oh, well, if you're calling from that subdivision, then our fees just went up 20%. Because if you live in that subdivision, then you must have extra money. And it's like, wait a second. Just because I happen to have that zip code, or just because I happen to have, live in one of the 10,000 homes that's in the subdivision,
right,
does not put me on the same level as the people that live in the gated area, on the golf course.
Yeah.
But that actually happened to us. We had some electrical work done. And, I got the bill for it and I was like, there's no way we're paying this. The guy's like, well, you can afford it. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Are you kidding me? He said 100%. That.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So we had to, we called the company and they took it off and all this other sort of stuff. But yeah, it happened. So I get that. I understand this point to some degree.
Yeah. Hassan, I want to ask you about reason number 2 to have stealth wealth. And that is, it says here, to eliminate competition. And based on what you just said, that people in college not learning about money. I remember being in college, but I'm pretty sure it's the same today. I looked at the people that drove the nice car. I looked at the people that didn't have to have the cheap dorm room, but had this great off-campus pad. All those things that people did in college kind of help people get into a lot of debt. And I guess their point is to eliminate all that. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I definitely agree. And that's why I'm definitely, like you said, I'm glad you all picked this topic, because there's some things that I agree with and some things that I don't necessarily agree with. But I definitely see the point in, hiding your wealth or being stealth with your wealth. But I do think there's sometimes where, in certain situations where you do need to be, dressed to impress. You know what I mean? So if I was going to like a business meeting or, a conference, a business conference, I would want to, me personally, because my brand, exemplifies being fly, being hip, being cool, because that's just me. But so I would need to, exemplify that in the way that I dressed, in the way that, I carried myself. But if I didn't spend the money it's like an investment into yourself, and, at certain points. So if you're, like I said, if you have a business, or you're an artist or a singer, musician, and your aura and your brand is, fly or looking good or looking hip, looking cool, then sometimes that's not an expense. That's more of an investment in my eyes. But it's all about balance, to be honest.
But what about, the next reason they have down here, and I'm going to stick with you, Hassan, for this very reason, is reason number 3 is to avoid being labeled. And it seems like, we put a label on people that they have a lot of money. Like we were talking about, just because he lives in a certain zip code, people all of a sudden put a label on him. But if you're dressed great every single day, people may think then that you're somebody that just should always pick up the check at a restaurant.
Yes. That's why I was kind of conflicted by this article, because I just don't feel that we should have to tone down our lives or not live our lives to the fullest just to appease or, stay out of other people's thought processes or however they're thinking about, other people. I don't feel like we should necessarily live our lives in that way, worrying about and concerning what other people think of us. But and that's why I'm glad to be here today to discuss that, because it really is a balance. You know what I mean? Because,
ignore them, you're saying.
Psychology.
Yeah.
Not necessarily ignore them, but you definitely want people to like you. You want to be well liked. But my biggest thing is you don't want to have to tone down or not live your life to the fullest just to appease someone else. That's my main point that I would definitely love to, talk with the panel about.
Yeah, Paula, you on that train?
Absolutely. The older I get, the more it becomes important to me to, and I know this is an overused word, but authentic or genuine, like the more it becomes important to me to not live your life based on the perceived opinions of others, because number one, most people aren't paying that much attention anyway. And number 2, if people don't like it, they'll adapt.
Meaning how they'll adapt? They will just not talk to you anymore, or they'll get even more jealous?
If you live your life just as you are, then either people will decide that you're not for them, in which case, you're just not a good fit as friends, and they will exit out of your life. The right people will find your life, and the wrong people will filter themselves out of it. That can happen. Or the other people who are around you will get used to you. Like, they'll accept you. It might be difficult at first. Like there might be some initial tension, But if they're going to remain part of your life, then they have to accept you if you're being who you are.
Well, that's interesting. Oh, gee, you and I have a mutual friend that I was just complaining about to you just a few days ago, who he and I used to be great friends, but he won't stop bragging about his crap. And it's not that I'm not happy for him. I just get tired of the conversation always coming around to his Ferrari. It comes around to, he's got 2 different garages on his house, about the fact that he's got 3 kitchens in his house. I mean, he's constantly just
small potatoes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe. I'll tone it back a little bit.
He's just constant.
Jeez, Doug, settle down, man. Yeah,
I know, right?
Taking Joe off.
Easy on that.
I was just going to add a little bit to what Paula said there in something else that she said, the right people will find you and the wrong people will leave. I think that, you don't owe anybody an explanation, right? Sometimes we feel we have to do it. Now, I think there's also a difference between being like over the top gaudy about things and just being who you are. And you also have to make sure that, especially as you think about the future, that you surround yourself by people that continue to push you. I have 2 hobbies. One of them is flying and one of them is something different. And the one that's different, I have to be very cognizant of the people that I hang out with in that field, because there's lots of people who are really content where they are. And if you get kind of trapped there, you kind of sort of start taking on the sum of the parts. You start kind of morphing into the people that you're hanging around with versus hanging around the people that are like always trying to grow, always trying to do a little bit better. This is a great example, about being who you are, about flying. Flying is not an inexpensive hobby, and it's a little funky at first, but I'm not ashamed by it. So when I go places, if there's opportunity for somebody to go with me, Joe, you and I took a trip to Austin. You were taking a train, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to fly." I didn't make a big deal of it. You said, "I'd like to join you." And so you took your train ride to Dallas.
I took the train ride halfway.
Because 6 hours in a train was long enough. And then we did the rest in an hour in the Cirrus. So, I mean, but obviously you and I know each other, but it could have been, I could be way more over the top with that stuff.
Yes.
And that's off-putting for sure. But like Paula said, if you're just who you are, just be who you are. I mean, maybe Paula didn't say that originally. Someone else said that.
Yeah, I would just love to piggyback on what everyone's saying. And I have a personal example because I'm kind of going through it now. As far as when I was in college last year, it was 2019 was my senior year. And I was playing football, and then 2020 came, and that's when I started my business and different things like that. But I actually started losing some of my college friends because while I was playing football, we all, I don't want to say seemed on the same level, but we all were doing the same thing. So we were all together and everything like that. But once we graduated and I started my business, started my company, things started looking pretty well for me. I started receiving some, like you said, it would be tough from the other people around you, and the people that weren't for me, they weren't supporting, they weren't, receiving back my call. They weren't answering the calls and different things like that. And we just fell out, we just stopped talking, but that was for the better because I've now where I'm at, it's the like-minded individuals for me. And that's one of the biggest things that I recognized when I was at FinCon, which is a financial conference that I met the great Stacking Benjamin's cast at.
Oh, no, it was our big moment meeting you. Shut up. Shut up.
Oh, man. But like I was saying, just at FinCon, it was just amazing being around like-minded individuals. And that was the biggest thing for me because I usually can't talk, of course, just full out finance and nerd out with my daily friends and, some people that are still around my age and things. But going to this conference and being around those people, making those connections was really, really, really big for me. And I'm definitely in full agreement of the right people will be around. Do what you have to do what makes you happy. And like Paula said, the right people will be around and everybody else will fall off, and that's okay.
In just a moment, we're going to have the second half of this conversation. But that also means that it's time for our trivia challenge. And for those of you new to the show, we've got a year-long challenge going on between our three contributors to the show, Paula, OG, and Mr. Len Penzo. And Hassan, today you are playing on behalf of Len Penzo. And I've got some good news and some bad news for you, my friend. Which one would you like first?
Give me the bad and then hit it on with the good.
The bad news is then you unfortunately are going to have to guess first because you are tied for first place, but you go first because Len's the returning champion. In fact, he's the 2-time champion. So you're going to be guessing first here. OG is tied with you at 15. You've won 15. OG's won 15. Paula Pant, you have won 14, mostly because of your absence lately. Everybody who's been in here on your behalf has been kicking ass for you. So,
well, thank you to all of them.
but it makes me wonder, are you going to keep it up today now that you're actually here?
Dun, dun, dun. The pressure's on.
We're about to know. Well, the good news for Paula is that she gets to guess first. So, Doug, you ready with some trivia here?
Absolutely not, Joe. I have nothing, but I'll make it up as I go along.
All right, then here we go.
Hey there, stackers. On this basement's Mother Teresa, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Well, today's the day the Nobel Prizes are awarded. You know, between 1901 and now, they've awarded 609 times, but never once acknowledging the good that this guy has done for mankind in the area of basement peacekeeping. Hell, it was me who created the DMZ here at the card table, and Joe's mom knows that if you step 1 foot over the painter's tape marking off Joe's corner, he will bite you. And yet, every time he dozes off, you got OG over there trying to steal Joe's Flaming Ranch Doritos, inevitably waking him up. Then I gotta bandage OG's hand and give Joe a face spritz with the spray bottle. Well, you know, at least that's the way it happens in my head anyway. But no matter, let's get you today's trivia question, which is all about the Nobel Prize. Winners will receive $1,145,000 in real U.S. money. So let's see if our contestants can do some exchange rates because, you know, like the prizes given in Sweden, land of yodeling, and St. Bernard's and neutrality. So riddle me this, contestants. How many Swedish kroners is that? I'll be back with the answer after I dab hydrogen peroxide on OG's bites. You know, figuratively.
Interesting question. Who can do exchange rates in their head? Who knows the exchange rate between kroners and U.S. dollars? Hassan, for better or worse, because you're representing the returning champion, you get the first guest here. How many kroners are there in 1,145,000 real U.S. dollars or even fake U.S. dollars?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Let's go 135,000.
135,000. OG, what are you thinking?
I feel like I have seen this written down somewhere, like as part of the prize number, like, and then they get a tuxedo with tails and
a lifetime supply of rice-a-roni.
Yeah, something like that. It's a much bigger number.
Hassan's looking at basically $10, right?
Yeah, 10 to 1.
At a 10 to 1.
I think it's 10 million. I think it's 10 million krona.
You're going the other way.
Whatever it's called.
You think it's closer to 10 cents.
I'm going 10 million.
Wow. So Paula, you've got quite a field goal here.
Ooh.
10 to 1 one way and then 10 to 1 the other way.
Yikes. Well, man, the pressure really is on.
That there is only 3 weeks left in the competition, so
Paula's going to ask us to re-record this episode with a guest in her place.
Do we play the Jeopardy music at any point?
I know. I think we have to.
We might have lost Paula.
No, I'm here.
We're going to need an answer.
I'm carefully weighing my words. I am going to, I don't know what the exchange is, but I'm going to assume that the value of one Swedish kroner is
I think according to Paulette, a single one is a krona. Yeah, I've got her note here. Single is krona, and kroner is the plural.
Oh, okay. I'm going to assume that 1 krona is greater than $1, which means that the answer will be greater than 1.1 million US dollars. So I'm closest without going over.
We'll be less. We'll be less
closest.
than, you mean?
Would you stop helping her? She's on like minute 6. You need a number.
I'm just trying to do the math on her last sentence, and she's going a different way.
I'm just going to say the answer is 5 million.
And she splits the uprights.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what she did.
That's not. Is it tilted one way or the other by saying 5 million?
It is because Hassan's at
he's at like
135,000, so she's a little closer to Hassan/Len on this one. Man, we would love to tell you who's right, but of course we don't play that way. We will be right back with the answer.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hassan, you kick this off, and with 135,000 kroner to 1.145 or 1,145,000 US dollars. After listening to OG and Paula, how you feeling about that guess?
Man, I'm still lost.
Well, the good news is that you thought it was a 10-to-1 ratio, and OG thought it was 10-to-1 the other way. You feeling good or bad about this, OG?
I think I'm pretty close.
All right.
Big number. I remember seeing it. I can picture it in my mind.
Okay.
That is a big number.
Paula, you trust OG having it in his mind, in his brain?
Sure. Yes. Let's get to the answer.
All right. Why? Already?
Oh, now she's in a hurry.
Here we go. All right. Doug, Paula's in a hurry, so let's move.
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. These awards have been given out since 1901, and those losers at the Nobel Prize Committee have been ignoring me. If you want the history on this sham, the prizes come from Alfred Nobel, who left 31 million kroner in his will to be distributed annually in the form of prizes to those who, during the preceding year, have conferred the greatest benefit to humankind. All that junk about saving the world, though, is nowhere near as important as finding out who's the winner of our huge trivia challenge, especially since there are only 2 sessions left in this year. So who's right this week? Since 1 Swedish krona equals 11 cents and winners receive $1,145,000 if you apply Banach's fixed point theorem, of course, following and allowing that holomorphic functions are analytic, and then, you carry the one, you'll have arrived at the obvious answer that Nobel Prize winners get. 10 million kroner, meaning OG is our winner.
See, she hit it right on the money.
How do you nail 10 million? How do you nail 10 million?
I read it somewhere.
I never stood a chance.
That is crazy. You're right, Paula. You had, it did not matter. And OG takes the lead. We got 2 weeks to go. And man, exciting conclusion.
He's peaking at the right time of the season, just like U of M.
The team is coming together. Oh, man. Yeah, I'll take all that, but that last part. All right. And
hold on, I'm texting Len.
We got to do that, but let's move into the second half of the show. Welcome back to the second half of our conversation about stealth wealth. The first half we talked about, if you can remember back, 7 or 8 minutes ago, we talked about just how stealth wealth and being quiet about your money might be a good thing. Now let's talk about the other side, why you might not want to be. And we kind of ventured into this a little bit with what Hassan, OG, and Paula talked about in the first half. By the way, second half of this conversation comes to us courtesy of magnifymoney.com. Hassan, when you head to stackingbenjamins.com/magnifymoney, you know what you find when you go there?
What is that, Bo?
You find that was nice. He just nope, I have no idea. You find that those financial products you use every day at your brick and mortar bank, probably nowhere near best in class. Over 92% of the products available online, all ranked head to head at Magnify Money, like checking accounts, savings accounts, CD rates. Maybe someday CD rates will be competitive again. stackingbenjamins.com/Magnify Money, though, to check out how you're doing versus all those other things. All right. If you're in the audience, by the way, and you want to join us here for the second half of this conversation, feel free to just hit the microphone, because we'd love to also have you hang out on stage with us if you'd like. But the second half of this, last week, Hassan, people on this show heard the ladies from Bitches Get Riches talk about the pay gap and talk about how people being paid different amounts of money because of the fact that we don't talk about money. So it's very easy for employers to pay one person, sometimes in Kitty's case, half of what somebody doing the same job was being paid. So is it more important then that we talk about money so we bring other people along with us?
100%, 100%. And that's kind of some of the responsibilities that I'm taking upon FY Fly, is just educating the younger generation. And really my first 2 seasons. So we started the podcast August 28th of last season, and we have 50 episodes now, and I guess that's a year and about 4 months. So these really first 2 episodes, the first 2 seasons of the podcast was really just foundational knowledge that I felt the younger generation needs to know. We had a lot of episodes about 401ks, because they're literally, including myself, when I had my first job at Kroger, when I was 15, 16, I had no idea what a 401k was. It just looked like numbers. They asked me yes or no, and I don't know what I'm I don't know what I'm signing yes or no to, so that's why I definitely feel it's super important that we're getting our youth involved in this conversation, and really just everybody, because even, some of the older generations haven't learned this financial information.
Right.
So
no,
it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. OG, you got to talk to people sometimes, I would imagine, in their 60s and 70s, still don't know the first thing about money.
Well, by the time they get that age, I don't know that you're 70 and you haven't figured it out yet. I don't know that there's not a lot of hope left. But I think when you're in your 50s, and I think people throw in the towel a little too early. You know what I mean? Like if you're 45 or 50 or 55 and you say, well, I haven't done the right stuff yet, like it's too late. The power of compounding works pretty well. So you still have lots of time. I would tell somebody, if you're 70, like you can do it, but it would be a lot tougher. You've had 70 good years. It's time for some 70 crappy ones, and they're coming.
I remember coaching some people in their 70s that had massive credit card debt, had it their whole life, had tried to get out of it, never really learned that the key was having a cash reserve, and then
Don't spend money you don't have.
Exactly. Yeah. Going to that cash lifestyle. Paula, when it comes to talking about money, you more about stealth wealth or more about, hey, let's bring it up?
I think you can do both. I don't think they have to be in conflict with one another. When you say talk about money, there's the kitty and piggy example that you just mentioned, the bitches get riches example, where people aren't disclosing what their income is, and as a result, others are getting underpaid.
Should we talk about that? Let's start there. Should we talk about that? Should we be open about how much money we're making?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I think so. Yes, if you're comfortable with it. When I started getting into the world of personal finance websites and books and podcasts, I entered into this world where people are often very open about what they make. So, somebody will say, hi, I'm a software engineer. I make $120,000 a year, whatever, and that was the first time that my calibration of what was a lot changed when I heard, what other people were making. So yeah, I think it's important. A person can, if they're not exposed to real numbers, they can go their entire life living with expectations that are in the wrong order of magnitude.
That's interesting. Hassan, when you're trying to talk to people about money, what is there anything that's off topic, or is it all on the table?
I think it's pretty much on the table. It's just about, knowing who you're talking to and understanding, the person that you're talking to. So we definitely, like to talk about the entire financial situation. And I was actually just certified to teach personal finance. So I've been teaching some classes every Friday to a group of about 6 or 7 teenagers and things.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah, we talk about pretty much everything, man. Yeah.
Is there what are people that age most interested in? What do you find surprises you?
Oh, it's still the same things from when I was pretty much. Besides crypto, they're definitely interested in this cryptocurrency game and learning more about that and really diving into that, because that's all that's pretty much talked about now on social media. But a lot of the same things that they're spending their money on, man. Shoes, clothes, eating out, parties, and different things like that. So my biggest thing when I'm talking to them is not telling them, hey, don't you eat out? Hey, don't you spend money on clothes? Don't you do this? But it's more of meeting them where they're at. Okay, don't go out and buy the $200 Jordans. Go buy, a pair of shoes for $100 and invest the other $100. You know what I mean? So it's more of having a balance instead of, okay, we're just spending. No, let's save, $20 here, $30 here, and just keep on building upon that.
I love this idea that Hassan talks about, OG, about meeting them where they're at.
Yeah, especially as you're getting started, right? Because everybody's in a different spot. Everybody comes with different baggage. Can we say baggage? Everybody has different baggage with money and history and experience. And I always think that when people recognize that they are looking for counseling, whether that's in a formal advisor planner relationship, or it's more informal, like it's listening to Stacking Benjamins or whatever, they're doing so because they're seeking to get more information to make better decisions. So it doesn't make anybody feel better if you spend a lot of time telling them about all the stuff they made bad decisions on before, because people don't generally make bad decisions. They make the best decision they think they can with the information that they have.
Yeah.
They just don't have all the information. And, we're trained to think you get out of school and you have to get a fancy apartment, or you have to buy a new car, or you have to get a house, or you have to get married, or like whatever your upbringing has been kind of points you in that direction. So you go, okay, well, I don't know. Grandpa said the best thing is the house, so I should buy a house right away. And then you get a job transfer, and now you have a house that you can't do anything with because it's during the middle of a recession. Like just weird stuff happens. It's not because they made a bad decision. It's just because they didn't have all of the information. They made the best decision that they could with the information they had. So wherever you are from a personal finance standpoint, whether you're way down the field or just getting started, I think if you're helping counsel people in that informally, like through podcasts or, blog articles that we talk about, or formally, just be kind. People are where they are, and
yeah, and it's like, and Hassan alluded to this earlier too, that judgment thing is a two-way street, right? I mean, remembering not to judge people as you're helping them along. Don't judge where they're starting from.
100%, because we were all there, at one point of time. Right. And they're coming to us to get to where we're at. You know what I mean? So you can't judge the people that you're trying to help. You got to help them.
The amazing Paulette Perhatch joins us on stage. Paulette, stealthy about your wealth or loud and proud?
Hey guys. Well, I work very hard to hide my millions, and I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. I have all my maids.
Yes.
You've successfully hidden it from yourself also.
Yes, I have. Have the labels have the maids cut the labels off my fox hunting pantaloons and everything. But no, I have actually found that it was easier to talk about it when I was doing badly.
Oh,
and
which by the way, Paulette, as you know, most people are most afraid of that, right? We don't want to show people that vulnerability.
Yeah, that's like what I've become the queen of. And then I'm like, oh, what's my brand now that I'm not messing up left and right? But, I think trying to share in a spirit of connection is what I go for, where it's like, when you're doing well, it can be aspirational or it can make someone just feel bad. But it's like, I always try to share the like, hey, this is going well. This is where I started, which is always a funny and terrible story. But, I feel like we have so much kind of, people wearing bags that say Fendi, and it's like Fendi equals $1,000. It might as well just say this purse costs $1,000. So for me, it's all about trying to share in that spirit, but not necessarily like hiding it either. I don't know. But the happiest I was with what I was making was when me and my coworkers were all making very little, but we all knew how much each other made. We all made the same amount. So it was like this weird situation where, it's just like, how do you compare? What's your audience, right? Like, how do you compare with the people you're around? And I think everyone wants to be on that equilibrium with our community, and I especially feel being a creative writer that's also an entrepreneurship, like I have this kind of starving artist gaze over my shoulder where it's like, don't become too successful, which is like not a concern right now. But like, it's like we hold on to that starving artist award, like, oh, I'm a serious artist if I have no money.
Right.
So yeah, it can be fraught in a lot of different communities.
It's funny, Paulette, we know having Corey Mintz on, who worked in the restaurant industry, him talking about the same thing in kitchens, right? That in kitchens, there's this, hey, I work 12 hours, I make less than minimum wage, and I'm a badass because of it. It isn't the same, but it definitely has a parallel.
Yeah. There is real capital and there's social capital.
Right.
And sometimes they can be in opposition.
Yeah. Paula, it's interesting what Paulette's talking about here. I love, we've talked a lot on this show, as you know, about people don't know what to share. And I think she makes a great point when she talks about sharing your F-ups, right? Sharing where you really screwed it up is a great place to meet people if you don't want to share your net worth or how much you make.
Yeah. And I think Paulette makes a great point in that what matters is that sharing is done in a spirit of connection. And if you can share your F-ups in a way where you're, there's humor in it. So you're not asking for pity. Like you're telling a funny story, and hopefully it also has some learning aspect to it. Like there's a funny story with some sort of moral at the end that people can learn from, but you're not being preachy. Like that's the attitude behind good sharing.
Yeah. Doug?
Well, I was just, how much of this is really driven culturally, at least in Western cultures, if not just specifically American cultures, of there's honor in the struggle. Like Paulette talked about, the happiest she was, we were all making the same thing and it wasn't much. And we were all kind of, I'm reading between some of the lines, Paulette, you didn't say this, but sort of, we were all a little bit annoyed that we weren't making as much as we want. And there is honor in, man, I don't have much, but I'm trying. And there's this perception that as we have more, we're coasting, we're on easy street, and we're just, living off the struggles of other people. And is that part of where that bad stigma comes from that makes us want to clam up a little bit when we do achieve those dreams we have? We do get the airplanes, we do get the Nespresso machines that cost $1,000 or whatever they are. Is that what we're trying to avoid, is that stigma that comes along with it, even though we may be busting our asses, even when we've reached, a pretty high level of socioeconomic status?
Yeah, Hassan, Doug makes a good point that to some degree, this is almost a field goal. You got people on Paulette's end that are, high-fiving each other because they're starving, and other people lying about how much they have to keep up.
Yeah, and I'm definitely glad that she made that point, because I wanted to even ask her, how do you think, Paulette, how do you think your coworkers would have reacted if you would have received a promotion in your scenario that you told?
Yes, I think that happens a lot in situations where a promotion comes up and then you're no longer part of the crew because now, I am obsessed with evolutionary psychology and what we all want, and a lot of us want money to gain more acceptance, right? To have the things that other people seem to have, but then you have more than the people you want to connect with. And that's another way to be kind of rejected from, your mini culture, your friend group, like whatever. So humans are a very interesting balance.
Pretty much you're screwed either way.
Paulette,
you're totally screwed. Yeah.
Paulette, is evolutionary psychology the same as Doug being impressed with having opposable thumbs?
Yeah. And like how we can't get him to stop staring at him. We're like, Doug, we know. Yeah. Yep. That was how it was yesterday. Like, so come on, amazing. We're doing the show.
And then he has this fantastic insight here about kind of the goalpost of this. Well, let's wrap this up, guys. And really, what's our so what here? If we're going to put a shiny bow on this, we will have our guest of honor go last. OG, how about you? How do we wrap up this topic?
I would just say, just make common sense decisions daily. If you're trying not to attract a lot of attention of your peers or boss, I'm surprised this never came up actually, was in the workplace as it relates to having more money than you're quote unquote supposed to can be detrimental to your career progression because you got more money than the boss. Pay raise for or a bonus. So, be smart about those things, but also I don't think that you have to shy away from who you are. If you like fancy wine, then buy fancy wine, and you don't owe anybody an explanation as to why you got the $10 box of Franzia and not the $6 one. Like, that's what you like is $10 box wine.
Yes. Yes, I absolutely own it. I want to put the brakes on finishing this because that's an interesting topic. Hassan, let's ask you. You have more money than your boss. Your boss makes more, but you clearly have more. How do you navigate that to still stay in boss's good graces?
I'm glad you asked this. I was literally watching yesterday Robert Greene, his 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
And he was saying one of the laws was to not outwit your superior or something of that nature. And that's literally what I would do, especially if I'm already making more money than him or her. Oh, I'm just going to play my role.
You are going to have stealth wealth in that situation.
Definitely. That's why we're here, man.
Yeah. Paula, you agree with that?
I'm trying to imagine what, and I don't mean to sound
well.
whatever.
I didn't call on you because you and I haven't worked for another person in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't worked for another person since 2008, so I think I might be a little too disconnected. I
think though, Paula, Hassan's point is right on because I think about Sun Tzu, the art of war, that the best battle's the one that's never fought. Right. So if I can just avoid that battle at all costs, that's probably going to be best for me.
Yeah, probably. I mean, and the other thing, as I'm reflecting back on, I remember once we had at the newspaper that I worked at way back in the day, there was an intern who she was probably in her late 40s or so, and she was independently wealthy. No one quite knew how. I guess the unstated assumption at the time was that she hadn't earned it herself. No one really asked her about it, but that was sort of, at least in that one particular, that just might have been one single anecdotal case study, but at least in that one specific case, that seemed to be the unstated assumption. And so I wonder if in a situation where a person had more money than their boss, others would attribute that not to their own success, but to some sort of external force.
And also, what happens in a salary situation? Let's say that you are sharing your salary with somebody else, and it gets back to the boss that you're the one who exposed the pay gap, right? Mm. That you're the one that exposed that. I mean, I've heard a lot of people don't share because they're afraid of losing their job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the various HR policies are. But that, I don't know, might or might not be a fireable offense. I haven't been in that world, so I don't really know if that's if that's a social faux pas or if there's an actual regulation against it.
Yeah. Hassan, any thoughts about navigating that potential minefield?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I'm working my way out of corporate now, so
Yeah.
not too sure.
No, but that's a problem. OG?
Yeah, that's a risk, right? I mean, I don't know how supportable that information is. I think Paula said whether that's a fireable offense. I guess you can get fired for anything, right? If you work in a state that's got at-will employment, they just go, you're not allowed to work here anymore without any explanation. But if it's kind of sort of retribution, I don't know that you can force people to keep compensation a trade secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed.
So
yeah, I think I think if you can draw a line back to the boss and that was the reason you were let go, you may have a good case there. All right. OG, I think you already put your bow on it, right? Can we call it that?
Yeah, considering we added 5 minutes, sure.
Absolutely. Paula, how about you? Your big takeaway?
I would say anytime you're expressing money, whether that's in words or through your lifestyle or through a purchase, ask yourself if you are doing it for ego or if you're doing it because it's a genuine extension of you. And I think if you're expressing money, however you define that, speech, purchases, whatever, if you're expressing it in a way in which it's a genuine extension and it's not ego-based, then you're probably, I think that's the guidepost that signals to you that it's probably okay. But if you're motivated by ego, then it's annoying.
Yeah, agreed. Hassan, you've got the last word here, my friend. Takeaway?
So my big takeaway was just to really do what makes you happy. I love what Paula said. If you're doing it for your ego, that's another story. But if you're doing it for a continuation of who you truly are, then go full out ahead. Do you. But that's the biggest thing, is just being aware of your feelings, being aware of your situation, being aware of the people around you and how they, will, be affected by or impacted by, some of your decisions. So that's going back to being aware of who you are and who's around. And that's pretty much the biggest thing that I would just want to leave everyone, just having a balance, being aware of who you're around, and definitely protecting your money and putting it in putting it up in, tax advantaged vehicles, IRAs, Roth IRAs, different, vehicles like that. And I'm sure we can get into that on another time, but, yeah, just, protecting your money, protecting yourself, and protecting your mental health. That's something huge as well that comes with your finances. So just being aware and having a balance.
And I think that's a great place to leave it. Well, let's find out what all our contributors are doing where they live. OG, besides texting Len earlier, what are you doing, my friend?
I wrote, I won the trivia, ahead by 1, 2 weeks to go. Bring it, loser.
I can't wait to see what happens then.
What am I doing? Today actually is a fun day. It's a coaching session. You and I both belong to the same coaching program, and today's my little coaching thing, so that's fun. And a week to go in the work year for us. We shut down the last 2 weeks of the year. Everybody gets to hang out with their families. So totally motivated for the next 5 days of work.
He's got his
100% present.
Got his eye on the prize. Paula, what's going on at the Afford Anything podcast?
On the Afford Anything podcast, we did an interview with Mr. Money Mustache. So if you have not heard that yet, that is a really fun interview. I've gotten great feedback. I wouldn't call it an interview, actually. I would call it just a really casual conversation. So Afford Anything podcast. And of course, every other episode, you, Joe Salsi High, join me to answer questions from the audience. And also, I have a joke.
Oh, no.
Did you hear about the guy who invented the knock knock joke?
No.
He won the Nobel Prize.
Oh, God. Oh. Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, not loud enough.
In honor of today's trivia.
Yes. Nice. Oh, she's on fire. There we go. Hassan, with all this hijinks going on, I don't know how you stood it. Congratulations for making it through your first Stacky Benjamin show and for carrying us today with jokes like that. The bar's pretty low, Hassan.
Man, I'm just happy to be here, happy to be around, like I said, some like-minded individuals. So I definitely enjoyed myself.
Well, tell us what's going on at the FYI Fly, the podcast. And then I think you also, if you're not out with it, coming very soon, you've got an app, you've got a website coming. Tell me about what's going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have the FY Fly app and website that will be coming in early January. It will be an app where users will be able to budget their money, save their money, and eliminate debt all into one app. So we're very happy about that. And I'm actually about to have a meeting after I get off here with one of my partners. We're doing our online curriculum. We are taking that to high schools and colleges and getting that implemented into the school's curriculum. So that's one of our big goals as well. And then also I am coming out with a book my first book called From College to COVID, 24 lessons learned during lockdown to increase your drive, destiny, and dollars. So we're very happy about this. We just released our pre-release on Amazon for Black Friday.
Awesome.
And then, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then we'll be releasing physical copies, audiobooks, and ebooks on January 4th.
Cool. And we just look it up on Amazon. We go to the search on Amazon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You just look up From College to COVID, and it should be the first thing to pop up. Yes, it's pretty much 24 lessons that I learned from going through college and during COVID and having to graduate online and start my business. And then I also included 19 other lessons from my podcast guests that I've interviewed over this year and a half. So it's a lot of great information for people to really realign and refocus to become confident again in their ability to really execute.
Man, that's so great. You've got so many exciting things going on. It was great that we got to meet you at FinCon. So happy that you were able to come on. And by the way, not only will we have all of Hassan's links, we'll have Paula's links and everything on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com. All right, that's going to do it for today, team. Doug, you got it from here, man. What should we have learned today?
Well, Joe, first, there are a ton of reasons to practice stealth wealth. Regardless of whether or not you choose to talk about your huge pile of Benjamins, finding ways to help your friends learn about money is a win-win. Second, want to talk about your airplanes, your wealthy zip codes, and fancy schmancy coffee machines? Hey, you do you. Go for it. The people who don't like it will say, hasta la bye-bye, and the people looking for free plane rides will stick around because, they like you as a person. But the big lesson? If a Swedish krona is only 11 cents in American money, that IKEA Swedish meatball would be hella cheaper if we were eating them in Sweden. Road trip! Thanks to Paula Pan for joining us today. You'll find her podcast, Afford Anything, wherever you're listening to us today. Thanks to Hassan Thomas from FYI Fly for being our guest today. You'll find his podcast wherever finer podcasts are found. Our show was written in part by Paulette Perhatch, who coaches writers to power their words, their work, and their earning potential. You can find her at thatwriterpaulette.com.
Welcome to the after show. This is the part of the show that doesn't exist. What happens in the after show stays in the after show. And, I was with my friend Gwen Mers, and Paula, you were with Gwen as well back in Cincinnati. and I saw Gwen hanging out in the audience, and it's been a while, Gwen, since you've told your story. I know that as you're listening to us here live, you're in what, a CVS parking lot?
Coming to you live from a CBS parking lot in suburban Missouri.
It's so great. The fiery millennial herself, if you want to follow her on Twitter for a bunch of fun. But something that wasn't fun was you have a Christmas story, and 'tis the season for Christmas stories. So tell us about the amazing thing that happened with you and your job. And by the way, Paul, have you heard the story before?
The Christmas story? No, I don't know.
Gwen's Christmas story? Oh, gee, have you heard the story?
I don't think so.
And Hassan, I don't think you've met Gwen. Have you, fiery millennial?
No, but I'm all ears.
Gwen, Hassan, Gwen. There's our introduction. All right, Gwen, you've got the floor. Tell us a Christmas story, a nice, happy one.
Yeah, so there I was, as a freshman in college, and I was very excited to make Toys R Us my career path. I was going to work at Toys R Us and climb the ranks and one day lead the company. But sadly, all my hopes and dreams were crushed when they fired me on Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve.
Wow.
So everybody, the kids coming in, getting toys, everybody's happy. You're feeling the Christmas spirit, and you're just about to go home to celebrate.
Wait a minute, Joe. Have you been to a Toys R Us on Christmas Eve? I mean, now you can't. Right? But there are no children because the parents are buying last-minute presents.
Good point.
The hot presents of the year have been sold out since October. You have all of the parents who left it to the last possible second, and they're so stressed out and anxious about providing the best possible Christmas for their family that they yell at you and scream at you that there are no Zuzu pets because that's what their precious darling progeny want.
And it's completely your fault, Gwen, which is probably why you got fired.
Totally my fault. So, I'm just stressed out because people have been yelling at me that they don't have the right toys and they can't buy the right toys, and they're just, it's Christmas, holly jolly Christmas. And to put the topping on just the crappiest day ever, they're like, yep, okay, well, you can leave now. And I'm like, cool, thanks. And they're like, just don't come back. We don't need any more seasonal staff. Bye. You can collect your last paycheck in a week.
Oh, it's so painful. I shouldn't even laugh. And I don't know why this story just cracks. Maybe it's because it's just how horribly, horribly mean that was.
Yeah. How could they crush my poor 18-year-old self's heart like that? The funny part is that this was my second Christmas working for Toys R Us. And the first Christmas, they kept me on afterwards. And the agreement was when I came back for the second season that I would also stay until I left for college like 3 weeks later, because I was one of the few people who knew how to do returns and was fast at it. So not only did, they earn my lifelong hatred, but they also lost a really good employee. So they just shot themselves in the foot like 8 times over.
And actually, it's probably why they declared bankruptcy, Gwen.
It's a wonder that, they didn't make it.
Yes.
How could anybody have seen that coming?
I know you're on the road, Gwen, but thank you for sharing that story. Hassan, have you ever been fired before a holiday?
No.
No, he's got to think about it for a second.
Because I'm thinking back to my JCPenney days, but no. But I do remember working some pretty tough holidays, and can definitely, back Gwen on how hectic it is around those holidays, especially in retail.
Oh, gee, you worked at a place that, I don't know if we leave this place nameless or not, but they always had a huge holiday crowd. Did you see people get fired on the day before?
No. I don't know what place you're talking about. I've worked at lots of places that have huge holiday crowds.
The place in the cheesiest town in Michigan.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you mean.
Yes.
No.
By the way, one of my favorite towns in Michigan, but still one of the cheesiest towns.
Little different.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if I ever got canned from anything. I don't think so.
I got canned from the Tasty Freeze.
Sounds about right.
I was cleaning out the fry vat and accidentally spilled oil all over the floor that could have, set the whole place on fire. And the
safety violator.
Yeah, manager fired me on the spot, and then the next day the owner called and apologized and asked me to come back because
it doesn't count.
Did you?
I did go back because I also found out that manager wasn't there anymore, and I was 15, Paula, and really wanted a job. And plus, I got free ice cream, Paula. So.
I bet that was pretty. It was pretty emotional. I bet you're like, "Oh, hey, boss, I spilled the. Oh, my bad." He's like, "Pack your stuff. You're fired."
Oh,
like,
yeah. It was a woman, and she was not even nice about it. It wasn't even that. She came back and she goes, "Who did this?" And I said, "I'm so sorry. It was me." She's like, "You're fired. Leave right now. We'll take care of it." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're out of here. You're done." I'm like, "Oh my God." Went home, told my parents
call
that I
my
got
mom
fired.
for a ride.
Yes.
Can I work for 10 more minutes?
Yeah, not good. Paul ever. This is an up topic now.
I know, right?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thanks, Gwen, for bringing us down. Glad I asked you.
Hey, you know what? Anything I can do for you, Joe, just say the word and I'm there.
Paula, anything?
Yeah, I got fired once from a server job, and it was my it was first day, first table. And my first table was actually this big party. It was, I think, somewhere in the order of maybe 6 adults and like 5 kids.
You're kidding me. Your first table, it's 11 people.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was your problem that you messed it up.
Exactly. Right. And so, we had to seat them at 2 different tables. And then I took the drink orders from the adults, but then the kids placed the food order. So I brought the kids' food out with the adults' drinks, which means that then the kids had finished eating and they were antsy and restless and wanted to go home. And so then the grown-ups all left and they were, and so I didn't time it right. And so, I got fired after that very first table.
Sure sign there was nothing good in your future.
I know, right?
Hassan, I'll bet you've never been fired from anything.
No, not fired, but I do have a story when I attempted to work at a Mexican Tex-Mex Mexican restaurant when I lived in Houston. And after about 2 weeks, and it was funny because my mom told me, she was like, "Hassan, you're not going to be good at that. Like, just flat out serving is not really in your," because I'm not very, what's the word? I don't move at a very fast pace when it comes to things I really don't want to do, to say it nicely. So just working at this Mexican restaurant, a lot of the people that were working there, their tempos were extremely fast. I mean, extremely fast. They're walking around, moving around, carrying all these different, plates and different things like that. And I was just walking my pace, just chilling. And one time I knew the job wasn't for me when I literally spilled water on I think this was like my 5th or 6th guest.
Oh no.
And so I had 2, the lady told me you can't bring the water, you can't bring the drinks with your hand. You have to put them on the little
tray.
carrier.
Yeah,
the tray. And I wasn't too good at using the tray at that time. So I was trying to tell her I'd rather just carry these, but she was telling me no. And I was like, okay. So I walked out with them, and then I leaned down to put one water on the woman's side of the table. And then when I leaned down to do that, the other water fell on the gentleman. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, well, luckily it was just water.
True, not red fruit punch or something like that.
Yeah. Doug got accused of that the other day. He came in and he said somebody spelled Woodford all over him, which was horrible.
Oh, man.
Otherwise, I would never have smelled like that.
No, you would have never smelled like that.
No.
And this is a bit off topic, but I will say, Doug, that you have one of the greatest podcast voice.
Oh my God.
You're damn right I do, Hassan.
Ever.
We gotta end the show on that. Holy
There goes his ego.
Yeah. It's time to stop recording right now.
God.
I mean, he's up there with the Allstate guy. The guy who does the Allstate commercials.
Hassan, please stop.
No. This episode's
please.
not long enough.
Oh God, no. No. It's like you got the tire pump going right in his ear, just inflating that head. Yeah.
Why,
Hey,
thank
man,
you.
Call it how I see it, man. I'm a straight shooter.